I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is our special E3 discussion around whether PlayStation, a brand that we run a show for, logo there, should be worried post the Microsoft conference today. Max, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, man. A little bit tired, but that's what you get for staying up to watch E3 live.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. We shouldn't be doing this year, dude. And you're like, no, I'm just gonna stay up and watch it anyway.
I mean, I did it for my own reasons of I need to reset my sleeping schedule because I'm back at work tonight. But
yeah,
look, I'm just like, this is a good excuse to stay away.
I'm not saying your reason is invalid. It's just
I'll watch some conferences. I'll learn about some games. I'll try and sleep all day. That didn't happen.
Anyway, so look, as most people know, PlayStation have opted out once again for E3. So they are essentially leaving the competition out to just deliver. So now that we had their biggest competitor, Microsoft, step up with the Xbox and Bethesda conference, we want to discuss the idea of whether PlayStation or Sony should be worried about what was put on display. Max, you want to break everything down first and then sort of wrap it up, or drop a little bit of what we think at the start and then get into the nitty and gritty?
We'll kick into it. So, like Microsoft, they didn't beat around the bush. They walked out on stage and they're like, "We're going to show 30 games. 27 of them are on Games Pass. Here we go." And they just started pumping trailer after trailer after trailer. You know, there were times where they stopped and had a little bit of chat with the studios making some of the games. But for the most part, it was just one after the other. They were just banging these things out.
Yeah, they did. They really just went the whole, let's just show everyone stuff, and then went bang, 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 bang. And yeah, it was 30 games or something that were showcased.
30 titles, 27 of them launching day and date on Games Pass.
Yeah. If that's one of the questions, should PlayStation be worried? Especially when it comes to Games Pass, fuck yeah, they should. They really, really should. They need to... Well, actually, let's address that right now. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the games, Games Pass was incredibly prominent here. It was the biggest thing. That was the most used word in the entire show. PlayStation got to do something, man. They got to do something.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah.
Because
obviously not all these games were exclusives. Majority of them were, but a lot of third-party developers went, well, Sony's not here, so we need to show our stuff somewhere, and they got picked up by Microsoft.
Yeah, and then with that, like this, what I took out of this was, especially when it came to Games Pass, was they are throwing money everywhere. Yeah. So like you want to be on Games Pass day and date? Cool. Psh, you know what I mean? Like, and that's pretty much what we saw here. What we saw was them just swinging their big old money peen around the space. And not a bad thing, because if they have that money, why not? If PlayStation had that money, I imagine they would do the same as well. So from a competitive standpoint, because what you and I were discussing in our regular show, which is up now on the YouTubes and the podcast services, was we wanted to see Microsoft swing for the fences today and just deliver some solid shit that should have PlayStation quaking in their boots. And I think with the Games Pass alone should begin that quiver. Because PlayStation now, which isn't even available in this country, is their only competitor when it comes to Games Pass. And it is nowhere near as close.
No,
it's nowhere near as powerful. Close. Because like so much so that you today went, I might have to buy an Xbox.
Yeah. Now, granted, obviously, a lot of these games are coming to PC, but unfortunately, my PC is a gigantic toaster at this point.
Yeah.
And
mine could do with some upgrades, and I did look about. I'm like, maybe I can get a Series S, but no.
But I have a feeling that I've got a better chance of getting an Xbox on a new graphics card.
Yeah, depending on what graphics card you get, I guess. Especially the 30 series or whatever, you'd be fucking cooked. But all right, let's break it down from a game perspective, and then we'll go from there. Max, what kicked off the show?
So they kicked off with their teaser trailer for Starfield. Makes sense. It's everyone's been waiting for it, and it was very much a teaser trailer. You see them walking through basically a spaceship. At the end of it, you see what appears to be a screen with coordinates on it. On the coordinates are written 11/11/22. And we're all like, oh, that's the release date. It's coming out October or November 11th next year. And then sure enough, at the end screen, Xbox exclusive, coming day one Games Pass, 11/11/22.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's weird that they're showcasing it, 18 months prior to release in terms of its release date, which is one of the most hated on things in games. Yeah. But it's Bethesda, and I think they could probably swing it in that. I
think the other thing was if they didn't show it, everyone would be like, "Oh, it's dead."
Yeah,
like
pretty
why
much.
why are you not why are we not hearing about it? You've teased us with Starfield, you've teased us with Elder Scrolls 6. You need to show us something from something.
Yeah.
And obviously, Elder Scrolls didn't get a showing because their main focus is on Starfield. Yeah, exactly.
Like the date's cool because it marks 11 years to the day of Skyrim's release, because Skyrim released on 11/11/11. So that's kind of cool. And obviously, there's a little bit of a nod there, and there's no way they're pumping out at the back end of this year. So that's reasonable. That's fine. Yeah. Now, one of the things that we've discussed numerous times on the regular show is around Microsoft and Xbox's conversation with exclusives and how gaming is for everyone except for you now. Because obviously exclusives are important, and they've denied they've avoided and denied the importance of exclusives when they didn't have any. But now they have some, and they're doubling back down on that exclusive.
Well, process. I mean, they're still using those keywords. They're like, we want this is for the gamers. We want you gamers to be able to play anywhere on Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and PC.
That isn't anywhere.
Like that's what they were saying.
That's excluding Switch, that's excluding PlayStation. Like that's half of the gaming platform. And I will always argue that PC doesn't count because Microsoft has such a heavy involvement in PC. It's them shaking their own hand, and it's them. It's like me making a deal with me, right? It's like me as customer Ryan buying the merchandise for the PopC. It just goes back in my pocket. Doesn't matter. It's the same. It's the same conversation.
Look, I completely agree, but they play by their own rules. Yeah, and obviously we said so at the start. There's no way they're paying billions of dollars for a company and still not keeping some of that stuff in house.
Yeah, and so I don't disagree with the decision because I believe exclusives are important.
But stop touting that message of
exactly. They need to change their branding because by that decision, it is not for everyone. In the exact same way, the PlayStation need to remove their original stance. We believe in console generations because apparently now you don't.
Well, all they need to do is change from it's for everyone to it's for anywhere. Because with obviously their xCloud gaming starting up soon, I mean it's supposed to hit Australia by the end of the year. You can literally play any of these games on your mobile phone. Streaming it.
And with the iCloud, I'm sure anywhere. You could go to the iCloud website on your PlayStation and bring it in if you really wanted to. But anywhere should probably be the other. Even then, because that's not anywhere. I think actually no, anywhere and everywhere are very different, or everyone. So I think you're spot on. They change it to anywhere. I think that will obscure that confusion. And I can stop me being butthurt about it. I'm probably going to play Starfield anyway. I don't give a shit. I'll either get my PC to a space that can play it, or I'll play it on an Xbox. I don't really mind. It's for me. It's more about that. Not even misleading. It's intentionally obscured marketing. Right. Yeah. And it said we'll hold PlayStation just as accountable for the dumb shit that they've said. So that's where I stand on that. Starfield looks mad. It's essentially a cinematic trailer. There's not a whole lot that they could really do because we know it's coming out a while from now. But it's still, that itself is a big kick in the dick straight off the bat for PlayStation, because it is well known that behind closed doors, PlayStation were looking at having a second party deal with them as well, especially off the back of Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. So it's not as if this was just out of the blue. We knew they were going to exclusive, but it's also even worse knowing that PlayStation Sony were just having chats about it prior to this purchase. But of course, they did also show their big hitter in Halo Infinite, which is, a franchise marking its 20th anniversary, because that's the big thing they talked about in this was 20 years, 20 years of history, 20 years of whatever. Having not grown up with Halo, I felt a whole lot of nothing from this, but because you grew up with Xbox, yeah?
Yeah, to a degree. I definitely played Halo when I was younger. I fell off at the end of Halo 3. I can't remember when 343 took over from Bungie.
That was from 5.
But, it looks a hell of a lot better than it did the last time they showed it off.
Mm.
And, their big messaging around Halo was the best part about Halo is multiplayer, and now it is free.
That is huge.
Completely free. There is no gatekeeping whatsoever for multiplayer. If you want to play the campaign, you have to buy the game, or you can play it on Games Pass. But multiplayer is free for everyone.
Yeah, that's
which is good. But again, Halo itself only competes with third-party games. Like, Sony doesn't have a first-party shooter or an exclusive shooter anymore.
That's very true.
So they're playing against, this year it's going to be a new Battlefield, presumably a new Call of Duty, and Halo. And if you've got a free-to-play, completely free-to-play multiplayer Halo versus...
All of the Halos, by the way. Not just Infinite, all.
Yeah. If you're up against $110 Battlefield and $110 Call of Duty, it's pretty sweet deal. Play Halo for free.
So as we do with every show, we do record it live on Twitch, and in the chat we've got Kilobyte. They've added that they believe this is a game changer personally about having the multiplayer free. Faves19 asked 2 questions, one about Starfield, which we'll get to after this, even though we just discussed it. They say Halo is fun, but I feel like people play it for a bit and then just drift back into COD. I do think that COD does have the biggest market share when it comes to first-person shooter, especially competitive multiplayer. But I do think the novelty alone of it's I'm trying to think of the wording. The novelty, the nostalgia of it, and then of course
I was going to say
free. Like, there is no barrier to entry anymore. Like, at all.
Well, a good 80% of the multiplayer maps they showed off are all previous classic Halo maps.
Yeah,
like they really played to their strengths of what is going to bring people back into that game while showing a lot of the new stuff that they've incorporated into the multiplayer.
Yeah. See, because I played multiplayer like 3 times, and like I had good fun, but just really wasn't for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Killer also adds, COD has the market share, but Halo has the nostalgia, and I think that's the key there. If the multiplayer is designed right, not nearly as many people will drift back to Call of Duty. And as you said, by having that free space, like this could be that killer. And it's also going to make it harder for PlayStation if they ever do release their own first party shooter.
Yeah,
they are going to have to constantly be battling this. And to me, this is a good thing. Like, because once again, we wanted competition to come out of this, and that
of course
is exactly what this will deliver.
Like I would argue that especially between COD and Battlefield, but I would argue that Halo multiplayer is different enough from the other two that it does stand on its own. It can stand on its own legs and be separated from them, because obviously, especially with Battlefield now going to 128 players or even 64 players on older consoles, you're still capping out at like 12 players in Call of Duty. I think Halo also said that they were bumping up their numbers for some of their game modes. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the games that they play in multiplayer are very distinctly different from that of Call of Duty and from Battlefield. So I think it's interesting to see what separation is going to happen, because obviously Call of Duty has more of a competitive scene, but back in the day, the Halo competitive scene was insane. Yeah. And if they can get that back, if they can pull those people back, I have a feeling it could give everything else a run for its money, especially with that price tag being $0.
Yeah. Speaking about giving someone a run for their money, but they also showcased Forza Horizon 5.
Jesus.
Holy fuck, does this game look fantastic.
So this was the game that basically made me say out loud, I think I need to buy an Xbox Series X.
I looked at it, I was like, damn. And then my initial thought was, GT's fucked. They're fucked.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
But-
like you
but
look,
again,
you look
you-
at Polyphony, right? Polyphony they take years, absolute fucking years to deliver a game. Between Playground and was it Turn 10? No, yeah, Turn 10. Between Playground and Turn 10, they are releasing a Forza game every year. Like you know, they're Forza.
They're obviously on a
Horizon.
2-year cycle.
They're on a 2-year cycle, but like every year they're releasing a high quality, beautiful, well built game. Polyphony better fucking deliver. Like, cause like right now that as we just heard, their shit's been delayed into the next year. That hasn't stopped these guys. They're like, nah, man, we're still gonna pump out a fucking ripper game. Forza has nothing but lead on GT in every possible way.
I mean, I think for years though, Forza has been the bar in which
they have raised that bar, and
set,
Polyphony have not even come into the match. Like, if you look at that race, like we don't know where they are. Like, they may come out and then get a pretty good second because whatever, but we've not seen shit. We've not seen anything. So they continuously deliver each and every year.
Yeah, is GT, because this is a proper GT, not GT Sport, right? That Polyphony are working on.
Correct.
So is this their sim or their arcadey game?
This is their sim.
So
technically
Horizon
it matches motorsport, but
because I was going to say Horizon is more arcadey than sim.
Very much so.
But obviously, the game is still. I mean,
But if we're looking at least as close to
if we're looking at a one-to-one comparison of this is the racing game that's coming out of Xbox this year versus what's coming out of PlayStation this year, Forza Horizon really just
and there isn't one
it.
because they got delayed to next year. So that means Forza are going up against GT next year, right? And that's what we're looking at. But already I look at this and I go, I'm sorry, GT, you're gonna have to fucking go hard. And if we want to talk about things that should make you quiver, we're
I was going to say
just 3 for 3 right now. Really?
Oh yeah, I was going to say before we move on, they announced that they're going to have mini game modes, complete track editors. You can design them how you want them to play. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. If we want to look at it, from a should PlayStation be worried from Starfield, so. From Halo, from at least Halo multiplayer, I should say, and from Forza, yeah, they should. Next up, they announced Age of Empires 4, not coming to the consoles. That got me excited though, because I haven't played Age of Empires in forever.
Obviously we'd heard rumors that it was coming out soon. I'm a big AoE fan from way back in the day when I got my first game out of a cereal box.
Don't we all? Shout out to Nutrient. But I always love the idea of Age of Empires, but I'm really bad at it. I just get my ass fucking handed to me every time from anyone that's not an AI. But look, as I said, this was a shared showcase between Bethesda and Microsoft. And they ended the show with the Bethesda announcement, essentially saying, "Fuck Deathloop. Here is the arcane game that you should be looking at." And that was Redfall.
Yeah, Redfall looked incredibly awesome. So, from what it looks like one of those 4-player co-op shooter games, similar to that of like Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, which is also coming. But the spin on it was they seem to all each have their own individual powers, making each character's kind of unique as opposed to just being a different character model, which looks cool. And you're basically what I took away to be vampire hunters. Yeah,
like it had that supernatural-esque feel to it. I was worried it's going to be zombies originally, but then we saw vampires. Okay, no, I'm down with some vamps. The vamps aren't all bad.
It's like way to think outside of the box, but right up against the side.
Yeah, like you're in the same building. You've left the room, but you're in the same building. So we do. I wonder whether because if just vampires could be boring, maybe it's a bit more supernatural. I guess we'll wait and see. like the marketing for it alone has like a little crawling zombie with the four. So it looks as if we're going to get a spread of probably supernatural creatures.
I would say so.
Get some lichen, get some werewolves in there.
And it's interesting that it's 2022.
Yeah, so it's coming out next year. So obviously, Arcane does have multiple studios. There's like Arcane Lyon, and then there's Arcane, and this is Arcane Montreal, I think. Let's double check. Let me do a quick check. I don't know, but yeah, either way, like there's Arcane has enough studios for it to them to be working on things connected. But yeah, another one that I know will bum a lot of people out because the announcement of Obsidian's purchase happened very quickly just before the release of The Outer Worlds. So knowing that any potential sequel would then be an exclusive, 100% confirmed today. Outer Worlds 2 is coming. I loved their trailer. It was the best trailer of the night. The most
self-aware. It was so funny. It's so funny.
It's like, the character looks boring because we know we haven't designed him yet.
He's like, it's just a silhouette because we're not finished designing. Yeah, if you have like 3 minutes, you should really check it out. It is well worth the chuckles that you'll get from them.
Very much so. But if we want to talk about big ass RPGs like The Outer Worlds, I don't think it lit the world on fire, but I know a lot of people really enjoyed it. I was okay with it. I stepped away from it to play another game. I forget what it was, but and then I tried to go back and it didn't really land for me on return. So I might have to start again if I have to get another go. It was like a 30-hour, Fallout-esque role-playing game, which is mad, and more of that is certainly a big win. In the RPG space like this, I don't really think this is certainly a title the PlayStation should be worried about. I think they can hit in terms of their action RPGs. They got nothing on this one, but it is also a first-person shooter action game as well. So that's something that PlayStation do not have, especially a first-person. Flight Sim is coming to consoles. It's so niche, but yeah.
And they also announced some Top Gun expansion coming out this fall as well.
Excluding homoerotic volleyball on the beach, which is a real big bummer for me. I thought that would have been that would have sealed the deal. Like if I didn't want an Xbox before, dudes on beaches would have got me across the line. Next up, which is something that Justin mentioned in the chat before. Where was it? Here. Stalker 2. So Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. They jump in and say, Stalker 2 looks beautiful. Hopefully that's what it looks like when we get our hands on and not just fake game footage. So I have no idea what Stalker was until I watched this. And even then I wasn't sure. It left me with like Metro feels.
Yeah.
It's better.
I've never played a Stalker game. Looks alright. It was interesting. So I don't recall because I stupidly didn't write it down. But a lot of these trailers, they gave the preview black screen of this was caught on console X running at X frames, but at the bottom it's like obviously this is all alpha gameplay. Please take this as subject to change. And one of them, I can't remember which one. It was this footage is coming from all consoles at different points at all different frame rates. This is all subject to change. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Fair enough. At
least they're being forward facing with it and whatnot.
Yeah, and to me, this also felt like more of a series that had originally had a PC legacy. I guess not having played the original Stalker, I can't really comment on that one, but that's what it felt like to me. So that's fine. Back for Blood popped up here, which is interesting, seeing as it is coming to everything.
Yep. Although day one on Games Pass.
But yeah, man, like that's the kick in the dick. And when they're like, "Hey, this is coming to everything," but it's also coming to Games Pass. Like, fuck. So it does really make me wonder: what is the expenditure of Games Pass, and what is the return of Games Pass? Like, I know that's an ongoing discussion. Like, is Games Pass profitable? And I don't with purchases like this. With exclusivity purchases like this, I can't help but think that it can't be.
I mean,
until if they know, I doubt just to hemorrhage money for the market share, I guess.
I mean, who knows what they're paying them for it though? Like, you know, do they get X amount of dollar dues depending on how many times the download button gets hit?
Well,
or are they
I
getting,
imagine it's an
are they
agreement.
getting one lump payment and it's like, this is what you get to be on Games Pass and we're going to keep you on Games Pass for as long as we want?
Well, my initial thought would be the standard conversation, which is very similar to what Games with Gold or PlayStation Plus would be, where it's like, we think that you would sell X amount of copies at launch, so we are going to give you X amount of dollars, which is what you could make plus some, like, because we're trying to incentivize you to come to the service. So I imagine that's the same here. So Back for Blood, which obviously very inspired by Left 4 Dead, it's made by the same guys, or at least some of the same people. This is going to do gangbusters, no matter what console it's on. So I imagine there would either be a deal of, we're going to pay you X up front and X time and Y every time that it's downloaded. Like, that's how I would see that deal personally, because, you know, although it's not preventing sales, it is, because if someone has both consoles, and we know, I believe this is crossplay as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, if it's crossplay, everyone's like, well, I have an Xbox, I won't buy it. I'll just get Games Pass, right?
Yeah.
You know, does that make sense? Like, for me, it's just, it disincentivizes the need to buy a new game, which is cool for as the customer from their dollar perspective. Yeah. But I do wonder what is the cost to the developer?
I guess what they're hoping for is that you sign up for your Games Pass and forget you have it and don't download any games, but just
which
keep
is
that
what most people
ticking.
do. But yeah, but even then, it's like,
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I do wonder about that cost equation.
I had something we'll talk about in a second, but I had ESO Plus for 6 months and I forgot to cancel my subscription, and for 6 months I just kept paying for a game that I wasn't playing. Yeah. Like, when such a small amount comes out, you just kind of forget about it. It's the one terrible thing about recurring costs like that, is sometimes you just forget about it.
Yeah. Another one was Contraband. Yeah.
So this was the big open world co-op game from Avalanche Studios,
in conjunction with Microsoft Studios, Game Studios. So it looks to be an exclusive as well.
Yep.
In some capacity.
Not
a whole lot. It was very much just a little bit of a the most teasery tease you could think of. Did catch my attention though. It looked like a heist game, which is cool.
I mean, I'm a sucker for some keywords, and co-op is one of them. So I was instantly intrigued because they're like, co-op. I'm like, ooh, you have my attention.
So I go co-op. Oh, I don't have friends.
But the next one. So Sea of Thieves flashed up on the screen. I'm like, we're getting some Sea of Thieves DLC. I don't think it's going to bring me back in. It's not going to pull me back in. All of a sudden, I'm like, is that Captain Jack Sparrow? It is. So they've teamed up with Disney. They've somehow managed to get the Pirates of the Caribbean license, and they're creating a completely original story called A Pirate's Life, which is coming for free June 22nd.
This is awesome, because one of the things that Sea of Thieves was really missing was a campaign, or at least some sort of story. At least when it first launched. I played it when it first launched because I played it at PAX whatever year it was, and I had a blast. And the game is dope. Playing with friends, it's one of the funnest things you can do online. Like,
it's so definitely one of those. It's definitely one of those games where the people you play it with really shape the experience you'll have on the game.
Spot on. But without that, because it intentionally didn't have any XP, it didn't have any leveling. Everything was available to everyone at the start of the game. It was all about just earning the coin to buy it. Yeah. So, and then they did include some sort of questy things later on that were a bit more not as just go fetch quest things for money. So this is cool, an extra step in that direction, which is nice. It does make me want to go back and play it again. Like, I'm not even a big Pirates fan, but I just love the novelty of it alone.
Yeah, and like all the character models looked pretty good. They showed off obviously Captain Jack. There was the tentacle dude who I can't think of.
David Jones.
There was the witch that was in love with David Jones, whatever her name was.
I know Cassandra is her name now.
But I think Barbosa did an appearance. There was the ghost ships. There were the creepy coral men from
Calypso.
Calypso. Thank you, Killer. Yeah, it looked cool. It looked really fun, and it's made me be like, oh, I'll probably check that out.
Yeah. Next up was Battlefield 2042, which we know is coming everywhere, so that's just kind of Yakuza Like a Dragon is now coming to Games Pass as well.
Yeah, so they basically came out and went, we've got all the Yakuza games on Games Pass, let's just put Like a Dragon on there now.
Yep.
And
so that was nice. 12 minutes was on there.
That's the Annapurna game.
Yeah, which was pretty mad.
With like Willem Dafoe and Daisy Ridley,
James
and
McAvoy. That's
cool.
Mad. Not an exclusive, but it is a Games Pass day one-er.
Yeah, so it comes out on the 19th of August this year. Day one Games Pass.
Psychonauts 2, which is Double Fine, which is a Game Studios thing. I didn't really feel anything for this. So in terms of...
Psychonauts does nothing for me.
Yeah, not at all. Doom Eternal is getting a next-gen update, apparently, but doesn't it already have one? For PS5, at least. So that didn't... Yeah. Fallout 76 is still getting support, which is cool. Apparently, it's one of the most successful games on Games Pass, which makes sense. Everyone was like, oh, I'm not paying full price for this. The game is all right. It's just not worth the cost. And they are supporting it continuously. And if you don't have to pay anything and it's on Games Pass, win.
Yeah, so the Steel Rain DLC is coming July 7th, and then they teased what they referred to as Expeditions with the Pit coming 2022.
Yeah.
And on the back end of the Doom Eternal hitting Games Pass, they also announced 9 other classic Bethesda games. So we're getting Fallout 1, 2, Tactics.
It's like over 30.
And like a couple of another couple of the classic Bethesda games, which is really cool.
Then they announced Party Animals, which looks to be heavily inspired by Gang Beasts. And that is also coming day and date to Games Pass, but it is coming to everything. For me, I love this because we use a lot of Gang Beasts at work because it's damn good fun with the clients. But this looks just a better version of it,
and it looks way less janky.
Yeah, but it also makes us happy because as Games Pass, we don't have to buy it, and when we're shoestring budgeting at the best times, mad. And it's a good party game as well. Something the PlayStation do not have. Even though technically it's not exclusive. However, I'm just saying from a ease of access with Games Pass. Hades is finally coming to consoles.
Yep. August 13th comes to Gamecast.
Fuck's sake. Goddamn Game Pass. Somerville is coming to Games Pass. I don't think that one's exclusive. I'm not too sure. And it's from some of the people that brought you Limbo, which is mad because I loved Limbo. So it looks like some of the people from Playdead because it has that same side-scrolly sort of feel to it. So I was already in love with it because I thought Inside was fucking perfect. I loved that game completely. Something that got my wife's heart racing, Diablo 2 Remake, which is coming to everything, and it's not coming to Games Pass.
Yeah, so it was one of the 3 that wasn't coming to Games Pass. I think it was that, Battlefield, and I can't think off the top of my head what it was.
Yeah. Either way, this is probably one of the ones that really could have been on the PlayStation Showcase if Microsoft weren't there, because we know that Activision has a pretty sweet deal with them, with PlayStation, sorry. So it would make sense for Activision Blizzard to pop up over there. So, okay. Sequel to Plague Tale Innocence, Plague Tale Requiem. It looks to be, I think it was a console launch exclusive, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's what it said.
And
coming 2022
as well. And Far Cry 6 is the other one that didn't have Games
Yeah,
Pass,
Far Cry 6 was the non-Games Pass
which
one.
is just more a more gameplay overview trailer, which is cool. Shredders, which is like if you thought Steep was really the only good thing about it was snowboarding, then play Shredders, I guess.
I think Shredders was more akin to like SSX than what it is to Steep.
Potentially. It looks almost the exact same. One that caught my attention was Atomic Heart. So it had this real kind of look to it of to me I thought this was the Arcane game, and then I went, oh no, it's not. But that's okay. It looks.
They also showed off Slime Rancher 2.
Yeah.
Also coming next year, Games Pass.
Updates to Grounded, which is a first-party title, which is awesome. I've always want to check that out. Among Us is confirmation that it's coming to consoles. No exact date on it yet, but they mentioned that there is an update which will provide 15-player lobbies in tomorrow, June 15th. A game that I went, oh, what's this weeby shit? Is I don't even know how to pronounce it.
It was like a
Chronicle.
Rudian Chronicle. So there's that and a sequel game coming 2022-2023. Obviously, this is Microsoft trying to break into that JRPG market.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell if they'll be able to do it.
To me, it made me hate it less when I saw the art design, which is that cool sort of high res sprites in a 3-dimensional space, and I was like, you look really good. Then we had the Ascent, which is another coming to Games Pass game later in the year.
I think it's another co-op style game as well.
So that's pretty much that is literally everything that was announced at the show.
Yep.
So now that we have all that information out there, Max, in summary, as we said, the question that we wanted to we wanted to break down each and everything and look at the idea. Should PlayStation, as I said, as we do a PlayStation podcast every week, down there, by the way, if you want to check it out, we have to ask, should Sony be worried about what Microsoft showcased today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's a very simple answer, yes. Like, they're not showing, as far as we're aware, they have no plans to do anything over the E3 week. They need to do something. They need to show something. They need to get some form of information, a state of play. They need to do something. I don't think a PlayStation blog post will do the trick. I think they need to get something out there just to be like, hey, we see what Microsoft are doing. Obviously, we still haven't heard from Nintendo yet. Obviously, Microsoft being their biggest direct competitor, though, they need to. I feel they need to definitely put something out there and be like, you've seen what they're doing. They've given you pretty much a game releasing every month between now, the end of the year, and then they've shown off what's coming next year. Here's what we've got in the pipeworks. This is what's coming to you guys soon. Because as it stands now, apart from Death Stranding, which is also PC, we have no idea what first-party stuff is actually coming or when it's coming. We still don't even know if Horizon's coming this year.
Yeah.
All we know for certain is that God of War and Gran Turismo are not.
Yes. So, look, I completely agree with you in terms of, like, should PlayStation be scared? Should Sony be scared? Yeah, fuck yeah, they should. Because today, what they saw today was the power of Games Pass and the massive effect that is going to have on the gaming landscape, period. Like, it was already something that should have them rocked. It's something that should have them worried. And you look at it now and you go, why would I buy a game on PlayStation right now? And, like, granted, they're all not the big hitters. Like, admittedly, as we said, coming into this, I wanted them to to be the end of this conference with my jaw on the floor, being like, "Fuck, this is something." I didn't have that, but like it's like I wasn't. My initial reaction wasn't, "Oh my god," it was, "All right, cool." And so it didn't deliver exactly what I wanted, exactly what I wanted to see come out of this.
It's not a to change the analogy up. It's not a knockout punch, but it should be enough to light the fire under their asses.
It's stunned them. You know what I mean? It's a good uppercut that's rocked them. It's rattled their cage. It's not knocked them out. It's rattled their cage, right? And that's how it's looking. You know what I'm saying? Like so with that, Games Pass is that rocker. You know, if you look at some of their first party stuff, like Halo, okay. Like I said, the only reason I think that's a potential hit to PlayStation is the fact that they don't have a first-person shooter to compete against it. They've tried with Killzone. Remember, Killzone's marketing was the Halo killer. That never came to fruition. Resistance is dead. Killzone is dead. SOCOM appears to be dead. Like there is no shooter. So that one is essentially they've got a free base hit there. Forza Horizon 5 looks tremendous. It looks fantastic. What the fuck is Polyphony doing with GT7? Or, you know, that they take, you know, 2 decades between titles for whatever reason, where Turn 10 and Playground can deliver on the regular. That is a base hit. You know, I mean, we're looking at, it may even be a double. We're looking at a runner on second and third. You know what I mean? Like it's looking bad. And then, of course, you have the likes of these Bethesda exclusives coming in. Now, I think they are going to be they're going to have a bigger impact than I'm going to give them initial credit for. Like, I'm like, it's fine. I don't think it is. I think this will have a ripple effect that is going to be way bigger than I anticipated. So when they drop and Sony doesn't get that hit, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. So I think that's at least a base hit there as well. Maybe even a double, bringing at least one thing home. You know, everything else like Age of Empires, it's PC only. It doesn't really have the same competitive space. Outer Worlds 2 is certainly within that same bracket of a base hit. Everything else seems kind of additional, but Games Pass is the big thread here. What we're seeing is that there is a massive weakness in what PlayStation services are, what they offer, and how they offer it, and they need to create some sort of Game Pass equivalent ASAP.
Yeah,
ASAP. And as you said, like by them opting out of E3, it seemed like ha ha ha. You know, like back in 2019 when they opted out and at Xbox, Microsoft gave us nothing of note, right?
Yeah.
Like 2019's E3 was a disappointment overall. Now, so far for me personally, E3 2021 is in the same boat. It's not a massive disappointment, but nothing has won me over. Nothing has made me go, holy shit. But it is certainly better. And PlayStation are at a disadvantage for not attending this year. The idea was that they could control the conversation if they release something. Right now, we have no word that they are not doing anything. They are not retaliating. They didn't launch something ahead of E3. Like, they have done nothing to give them any remote win. Like, if we looked at, was it last year or 2019? They did something in conjunction that made everyone go, well, fuck E3. Sony just did this. You know what I mean? But right now, they are just leaving it completely open, wide open, and they've got nothing to back it up. Even now, in the near future, like what they could have done is the state of play they did for Horizon. If they dated that could destroy anything that Microsoft have planned for the end of the year. Anything. But they didn't.
Yeah, if they had released that state of play this week instead of 2 weeks ago,
and a date,
and they put a date on it, 100%.
Yeah, that would destroy everything. Horizon Forbidden West, which is, as we know right now, the most watched state of play. Like, people are keen for that game. So if they dropped it now,
like I said before, all we know now for certain is that God of War's not coming, GT's not coming, and Horizon might be coming.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. But once again, this is exactly what I wanted. What I want is Sony to be rattled. I want them to go, fuck, we need to step up. We need to do something. Like, they can't rest on their laurels. Like I as I mentioned in the regular show, I kind of dislike the fact that PlayStation had such an easy win last generation because it got them lazy. It's got them complacent. It's got them thinking that their shit don't stink. Like, I disagreed with the idea of this is the same PS3 arrogant Sony that we talked about, because I think that sentiment, that expression is tripe. It's cliche now to make that statement. However, what we're seeing from the likes of Jim Ryan and the decisions that they are making, and including Herman Holst as well, the decisions that they are making as a company are business focused. They are not creatively focused. They are not customer driven in the same way that Microsoft is, and that will be their downfall.
Yeah.
So yeah, in summary, the answer is yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes. And hopefully we'll have more to say next week in the next episode of For the Players, the PopC PlayStation Pod, because I can only imagine more news is going to come out over the rest of this week as we get into the post E3, where everyone's like, oh, well, it's out in the wild. We can start unloading information and provide some sort of distant hands-on for a lot of outlets. Yeah. It's left me uncertain is the answer. All right. Well, big thank you to everyone for joining me on this little special episode for our E3 thoughts on a Microsoft conference, a PlayStation perspective. We do release a normal show every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on your podcast services, 9 a.m. on those YouTubes Australian time. If you do like what we have to say, or you like PlayStation enough to listen to a show about it every week, come check us out as it is on everything. Big thank you, Max, for taking time out of additional day to do this. Problem.
Been a blast. It's always fun.
And I'm looking forward to talking about Square with you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Because I know you're going to gush, but I think more news will come out between now and the next show, so we'll hold off on that one. All right, have a lovely rest of your E3 week. We'll see you for the next episode. I'm Ryan.
I'm Max.
There you go.
See you later.
Dunskies.